What's
All
the
right,
name of
so
your podcast, by the way?
I'm calling it Late Night Wormhole.
All right.
Yeah, it's just a random ass name. Everyone else has like just their name for it, so I figured fuck it. Call it something weird.
I mean, most podcasts are random names, though, like Your Mom's House or Fighter and the Kid. Like,
Yeah, I don't really watch The Fighter and the Kid too much anymore. I heard that they actually talked about Dalia though. I didn't watch it, but
I mean, every even Legion of Skanks has talked about that.
yeah, but then Your Mom's House hasn't, and Rogan hasn't brought it up.
Well, Rogan's got to be careful with what he says because he's going through his own shit right now.
With
And
what?
well, because he just signed that big deal with Spotify.
Well, yeah, so he can't be.
And well, not just that, but the cancel culture goes after everybody. They're bringing up shit that he said fucking like 15 years ago.
But Rogan hasn't really done or said anything that's that bad. It's not. I mean, they're attacking Joey Diaz, but I don't see where they can get Rogan.
Force like advocating it, basically.
Whatever.
I don't know. But yeah, like Your Mom's House doesn't really talk about shit like that anyway.
They do usually if it's like a comic that they know, they'll bring it up usually towards like the beginning for like 5 minutes and then move on from there. But
plus fucking Brian Callen is like
BFS with him.
Yeah, like
which is why I'm actually surprised that he said something.
Yeah, I know. I doubt it was. Did they say it was negative? Because I quit listening to it because it's kind of boring.
I stopped listening to Fighter and the Kid like a year and a half ago.
I would probably say around the same. It just got boring. Like I like King and the Sting a lot, but I like King and the Sting because of Theo.
Yeah, Theo. I like Theo. I used to watch his podcast, but even then, like he does a lot of self ranting, and I like when he has a guest better. Yeah, when Theo has a guest, it's okay. When he's alone, it's hard for me. I mostly listen to like Your Mom's House. The Honeydew has kind of fallen off for me, but
I used to really like that. I think Ryan Sickler's a really good interviewer.
Yeah, but his last few guests, I think, are just not doing it for me. I don't know what it is.
I fell off of Whiskey Ginger too. I don't know if you ever listened to that one.
Yep, I was big into that for probably 7 months, and then slowly that kind of fell off. But I know that Santino does one with Bobby Lee now. And I like them together.
Probably great. The main comedy ones I listen to, I'm a big Legion of Skanks guy.
I never really listened to that one, but
it's so funny. I don't listen to Your Mom's House routinely, but I do listen to Two Bears, One Cave.
I listen to both of them like every week.
And I also like Bill Burr podcast with.
When I was driving like an hour to work all the time, or when I was going to Mike's, because most Mike's are like an hour away, I'd listen to that a lot. But when I'm just sitting around the house, like I smoke like cigars and shit occasionally. I don't listen to them then, but I listen to podcasts when I smoke a cigar and shit. But every once in a while, I'll pop on Bill Burr.
Because on the Bill Burr podcast, they smoke cigars like every episode.
Well, they used to when they were together. Yeah, I liked the Bill Burr one too until the quarantine hit. I liked it when they were together in person. I like them when it's just them two. When they started having guests, it would kind of get off the rails a bit. I felt, but I think that's because Burt is really bad with having an extra person.
He was great on the Pat McAfee show. Like, I know you're not into sports, so.
Yeah, no, not really.
But, like, that guy is, like, even if you're not, that dude is fucking hilarious.
Who, Burt?
Pat McAfee.
That's the one he has the show. It's like it's kind of something like a couch interview session.
If he has a guest in studio, yeah.
Because I think Burt was on in that sense, right? Because I think I saw a clip from that.
Yeah, it was like when he was in Indianapolis promoting his special.
Yeah, I saw that then. I saw like the clips from him doing that. It seemed fun. I just don't really follow sports too much. I tried to get back into hockey like 2 years ago. My daughter had something in her neck. She got actually staph infection in like a lymph node, and she had to get surgery. And when we were in the hospital, hockey was on. I was like, oh, fuck, I forgot. Like I used to love hockey when I was, 12, 13. But then I fell back off. It's just hard for me to follow things anymore.
Well, yeah, because you're a fucking father, husband, and comedian. Like
I try to be a comic, yeah.
I mean, if you do it, you are one. Like, but it's like sports have always been a big part of my life. Like I boxed for 11 years, so I love boxing and MMA. But I've always been such a diehard college football fan. So like I'm always into that shit. I used to love when back in the day, Tom Segura had another podcast where it was about sports.
And he's brought it up a few times, yeah.
Oh yeah, he used to have all kinds of guests on there because he's a huge college football fan. So it was fucking awesome. All right. When are we start? Are we on right now? Or?
Yeah, we're going live now, man.
Oh shit! I had
Well,
no
not
fucking
live, but
Mm.
like I said, it's all like freelance. I just like to like bullshit. It's one of the reasons why I like when I guess when like your mom's house had guests on, they kind of more interview it, but with Rogan and shit, it's more like a bullshit session. I just like to see where conversations go.
Dude, it's insane. Like Rogan is like the height of podcasting right now.
Yeah.
But you're like a lot of people have never really heard of like your mom's house unless they're like comedy nerds like you and me. But it is fucking hilarious. The little things that they bring up, their fans like
Attack.
spread. It's like because Garth Brooks just had that crazy ass
The documentary
on Netflix.
Yeah, I was
And
watching
everybody keeps commenting on his post like just where are the bodies, Garth? The family needs closure. And
Yeah.
like everybody's like why
Imagine
are
being
so
Garth
many
Brooks.
people saying this?
John Travolta too. They were attacking him for a bit. Do you ever?
Dude,
You watched like the Good Morning Julia clip that they did?
yes. Good morning, Julia.
The whole time they had guys like half the jokes where they would find like the guy went to a fan store. It was just a store full of fans, just because the guy had so many fans in the background, or the one guy had like a big industrial fan behind him. They just kept making fun of the fact the guy had fans in his house. Like they just pick up on little.
The dude in New York, I think he owned like a dry cleaning business.
Yep.
And he was like, they called him Mr. Positive. Yeah. And like that guy actually responded to him talking bad about Tom, saying like, I'm going to steal your wife and shit.
Well, they have that one kickboxer that they talk about sometimes. It's a bit more recent. You still there? Oh, yeah, there you go. You popped back up.
Yeah, it's my fucking...
It's
my phone. It's my phone.
It's all good. It's not that bad. I just want to make sure you're still there. But they had like that kickboxer. I forget his name right now, but he does videos where it's kind of like shitting on women and stuff. It's almost like playing the heel, but he does it to a certain like misogynistic angle. And he's like a world-class kickboxer. And they started following his videos and like talking about him. And he actually responded to them. And he keeps calling Christina like the dumb bitch. And like Tom, he calls it the old guy. Like the guy's like firing back, and it's actually pretty smart. Like he's holding his own pretty well. Like, you know, in terms of talking shit, they were like pretty impressed. It was pretty entertaining to watch.
I doubt he actually dislikes them because like for people like that, when other famous people call you out, all you're doing is promoting their name.
So yeah, if he's just a kickboxer too, he wants the promotion.
Oh yeah, because kickboxing is like in the combat sports world, being a kickboxer is like doing early morning radio in the entertainment business. It's just like
playing
the
lacrosse.
Yeah, it is the lowest rung. It's unfortunate because kickboxing is a fucking great sport, but
I would watch Glory occasionally. It's just again hard for me to follow things.
Well, it's just such a like combat sports in general are a niche sport. Like everybody knows the McGregors and the Mayweathers and the Tyson Fury and shit.
Yeah, because they get publicity.
Right, but it's like the casual person isn't going to tune into a fight where like 2 weeks ago the main event was Curtis Blades versus Alexander Volkov. Like hardly
I can't stand Curtis Blades, to be honest. I mean, I've seen him do some things in some fights where it's like, you know, I understand why he's not, you know, bottom tier, but at the same time there's something about all of his fights where I never want to root for Curtis Blades. I don't know what his style.
Yeah, it's he's not entertaining to watch.
Yeah, I almost get like annoyed when he wins because like even like when Derek Lewis has like a boring fight, I'm still like, you know, but it's Derek Lewis. You know, I like Derek Lewis as a person, and I like his fighting style for the most part, unless he has a back injury. But it's just I don't know. Some people are just hard to watch, man.
Yeah, that's why I've never understood the lore for Khabib. I've always thought Khabib was very.
I think. With the mainstream people now, especially now that he beat McGregor, there's that. And then there's also the fact that he kind of had the hype train from the undefeated aspect. And so people just kind of jump on bandwagons, just like people who become Patriots fans halfway through a season. It's like they just want to be on the winning team. So I don't think a lot of people even – I mean, I'm sure that he has plenty of actual fans, plus like Russia's massive.
Oh, especially out here, like in New Jersey, it's so weird because like I live in a part of New Jersey where people like to fly flags on their fucking porch. And I
I live
see
in a
so
farm
many,
town,
like,
man.
oh, you're lucky, dude. Because I see so many like Alabama Crimson Tide flags hanging from porches out here. I'm like, how are you an Alabama fan in New Jersey? So like, and it's prominent too.
Well, that's another reason why I never really got super into team sports is the fact that when I started to like kind of learn a bit about it, like, NFL and stuff like that, it's not like you have state teams or whatever, but they draw from whatever college, and then you go to whatever college takes you in the first place. So it's never like you are from that town or anything. It's always just like whoever has the money to buy the best players. It seems. I mean, I'm sure there's
Well, that's
more
why
that goes
college
into it, but
that's why college football isn't that popular out here, because it's like, who are you going to root for? Rutgers? Like,
yeah. Well, I
it's
mean,
like, that's like they root for the Giants and the Yankees for New York pride, but it's like there's probably one person, or like there's not going to be more than like 5 people on any given team actually from that area. Like,
yeah. I mean,
like in these college sports, like not every player is going to be from Alabama or LSU, but a lot of them are. You
yeah,
know,
because
like,
you're going to stay relatively local.
yeah, like that's how recruiting works. Like Alabama can recruit from any state in the country because they're such a powerhouse, but um, like someone like Oklahoma State, for instance, they get a lot of talent from Oklahoma and Texas. They're not going out to like California, Florida, and stuff because they can't compete with the other schools. Like college kids want to stay close to home for the most part and go to a team that gives them a good chance of winning or promoting their name.
Yeah,
Like
unless you have like a massive
that's how.
scholarship.
Well, any school is going to, when they offer you, they're offering you a scholarship.
To
Every
a
school offers
degree.
it. Oh no, like you can be a walk on. You can be a walk on anywhere. You're just trying out for the team. But if
Well, I'm
like,
saying like you can get like a scholarship to schools, but I'm saying like if you're gonna go super out of state for college, oftentimes somebody won't do that unless it's a very lucrative scholarship. Because I knew people who got scholarships for football, but it wasn't like a full ride, so they're not going to go super far from home where they can't fall back on something. Like I knew a kid.
well,
What are you saying?
at the Division 1 level, you get 28 full ride scholarships a year to offer to players. So it's like when you hear the term like they offered somebody, they're offering them a full-time scholarship, like a full
Yeah,
ride scholarship.
yeah. Most people I know probably didn't go to a D1, but I knew a couple for wrestling. That's the one thing, ironically, over where I live is a good breed of wrestlers, which is a sport. Any kind of sport I've mostly gravitated towards, aside from like hockey when I was younger, was very like one-on-one based, which is why I like MMA. I like boxing to
Right.
a degree. I liked wrestling, like I wrestled in high school. I like things where I don't have to rely on other people, because not only do I feel weird if I like don't know what I'm supposed to know or don't do my job, and I feel like I fucked up an entire play because I played football. I only did it to get in shape for wrestling, but I did do it. I didn't like not knowing everything.
Y'all complement each other very well.
Well, I mean, all the best wrestlers I knew were the top four on the football team too, actually, and they all took second or first in states. But
Yeah, because it knew how to use leverage, and like a double leg is not all that dissimilar from a proper form tackle.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't. I would most of the shit I did, I was mostly like a lineman and stuff. Like I played like nose guard and shit, but I wasn't. I was mostly just like holding people back in football. But I don't know. Just I like things like wrestling where if I fuck up, technically it is a team sport. Like the whole school gets rated based on the matches, but I would always look at like what did I do that day, and if I fucked up a match and I lost, that was on me. It's not like I could blame somebody else. I don't like when there's all this different shit going on. I like to just know what the goal is and how to get there. If I fuck up, it's on me.
I mean, that's also too. That's probably why you like comedy too, because it's like we love the instant gratification of hearing the crowd laugh. So it's
It
like when
feels
you
good, yeah.
when you tell a joke that you wrote, they're complimenting you and only you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Just
Unless you're a
like,
thief, yeah.
well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I implied that you wrote.
Yeah.
And you wrestle, when you win, like, you hear it all the time. Like everybody, like whenever there's a really good player in any team sport, if they're ever considered really good, like like Tom Brady, for example, like, oh, he was only good because he had Bill Belichick as his coach, or LeBron James was only good because he had D Wade and Bosh. It's like you can't do that in wrestling or boxing. It's like you're
It's
good
just you.
because of you, and yeah.
Even then, though, I mean, like they've had players on like certain teams, because you'll hear the argument like, that you just raised, but also you hear the exact opposite. Like the team is only good because they have LeBron or because they have Tom
Oh,
Brady.
that's fucking 100% true. If you look at any team, like how they perform after LeBron leaves, they don't even make the playoffs.
Well, I mean, didn't Tom Brady? I think my brother was telling me, didn't he go to the Bucks?
Yeah, he's on Tampa Bay right now.
I'm actually interested in that because when I do watch football, I grew up in Florida, and like from the age of 14 to 13, or from the age of 4 to 13. So when I did watch football, it was just I was supposed to root for the Bucks. So I have like this weird sort of nostalgia for them. So I'm curious because my brother's a big Patriots fan, so but he also likes the Bucks. So it's like this weird two worlds
Well,
meeting for him.
but that like, yeah, he went to Tampa Bay, but Tampa Bay has two top 10 receivers, and they just got Gronk, and they just drafted a line, well, like a top 5 lineman in the first round. Like they have a lot of talent on that team,
Is
and a
there going to
really
be?
good, huh?
Is there going to be a season this year? You think?
Oh yeah, there's too much money in the NFL for there not to be a season. And like what helps them is that the pandemic didn't start during their season. It happened right in the middle of basketball season, like right before the playoff push, and it happened right before baseball started and right before hockey was supposed to end. So it affected them the most. So they've been able to sit back and watch how all these teams have handled it to come up with a plan. So they've had nothing but time to prepare for this. And the tricky one is college football. College football is a huge question mark
That one's
because
always weird too because they kind of take all the money and the players don't really get much. That's the one thing I do know about college football.
the players get absolutely zero
Yeah, that's why I'm like
because
that's sketchy.
they're they're not just football players, but they're student athletes. So you have to treat
Mm-hmm.
them as a student athlete, which is why it's such a big question mark. Because if schools aren't allowing students to come back to campus, how are you able to how are you going to be able to justify the
Them
football team?
playing
Like,
for
no,
you.
yeah,
I also don't understand how you could justify making money off what they do, but not giving them anything aside from the education that they're more than likely not really getting in the first place.
right. And a free scholarship where, like, without football, they would not have gotten a scholarship to any university, most likely. A lot of these kids do have really good GPAs and test scores, but still, your best athletes, for the most part, usually come from low income areas.
Yeah, you have
And
to
that's,
fight for it.
yeah, and that's never going to change. So you can't pay them to play them. So they're actually a big thing in college football right now is they're trying to get name, image, and likeness because
I was gonna
it's
say
like
likeness. I feel like you should be able to reap the benefits of.
they are, but like they have to be very careful with it because if if you can make money off your likeness and they don't set a cap on it or they don't put limits on it, what you then do is because since college football isn't like professional football where they have a salary cap and they can draft players, like if a team drafts you, you have to go to that team. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And so like they can recruit anybody, but if you go to a school where there's more opportunity for you to make money off of your likeness, you're going to create an insurmountable like
draw.
scale in
Yeah,
terms of like
where the
you're going to
athletes
tip
want to go.
right.
That'd be another. That would be more like a strategic thing for the school to deal with, not the athlete, though.
No, but that's the thing is like because what you're going to do is you're going to start like you're going to tip the scales in terms of power. Like a team like USC, they got out recruited in state California by Arizona State University. Right. So, but it's like Arizona State got more recruits out of California, top recruits than any other school, and that's a problem for USC. But if they created this thing like, hey, this is Los Angeles, you can go to any mall, car dealership, anywhere here and make way more money than you can in Phoenix.
Yeah.
And it just creates this huge, so like if they set a cap on how much money you can make, that's one thing. Because not even in Alabama, most players from Alabama aren't going to go to the NFL.
Well, wouldn't that be like a draw currently right now? Instead of like being able to go to malls or whatever, wouldn't the idea of being able to get into the NFL be the big draw for the athlete currently in terms of
Well,
what
that's
schools
always
are
the
doing?
plan. Most players go to college football for the opportunity to go to the NFL.
Well, yeah. It's just
But
constantly making the pool smaller. But
yeah, but like once making money becomes an option, it changes everything. Because if it's like, can I make money and go to the NFL? Where's my opportunity to do most of that?
and the flip side of the coin is also the fact that there's all these athletes that aren't going to make it in the NFL and they destroy their bodies playing college football and they make no money. So now if they could make money and not make it to the NFL, it's just, I don't know. It's another complicated issue in America, like every other fucking
It,
issue we have.
it's bizarre.
I
There's
always
never
lean. Sorry, go on.
there's never an easy fix to any complex situation.
No, I always try to lean into the idea of just giving the most amount of freedom. As long as you're not harming somebody else, I don't see what the issue is. And if someone can make money off you, I don't see why you shouldn't be able to make money off yourself. So I don't know. Like if they're selling your jersey and shit, you should be getting something out of that. If they're selling any kind of merchandise revolving around you, I feel like you should get a percentage of that. They shouldn't be
Well,
allowed to use your likeness. The likeness is a big factor in my opinion. Like the college football games, that was a thing back when I was a kid. I don't know if they still do them.
no,
But
they haven't had one since 2014.
okay, so that would be. I mean, if they were still doing that, that's absurd to me. I mean, because when I was a kid, I remember that was. I knew a lot of people who played those games, and I was like, but they don't make money. You're in a fucking video game.
Because they don't use their name. That's the thing. They'll change your skin color, or
So ridiculous,
like
dude.
even if you for the most, like if you were to play a game right now and you do Alabama versus Texas, it won't say like when the quarterback for Texas, his name's Sam Ellinger.
Mm-hmm.
It's not gonna say Ellinger on the game. It's gonna say QB number 11. But then if you want to use names, it'll change his name to like Mike Harold. Just like fake names. It's so weird.
It seems really scummy. It seems like they're using people who don't have many options, and if they don't make it in the NFL, their body's fucked, and they're just reaping money off them. In my opinion, if you
Well,
make it in the NFL, you got out on the good end. But if you don't, I mean, you got the Schaubs out there that found another route. But how many guys just get fucked after college?
a lot of them, especially the guys that like. There's got guys always declare for the NFL draft, but like they don't always get drafted. And if
Mm-hmm.
you don't get drafted to the NFL, it's really hard to make it onto a roster. And if you left college a year early, you dropped out of school and you didn't earn a degree, and now you're not in the NFL. So then they go to those lesser organizations. Like a lot of them went to the XFL or the Arena Football League or whatever there was. But like there's no money in those.
No, now XFL and all that shit's probably dead after COVID.
XFL is dead. They closed operations.
Yep. It's just fucking weird, man.
It's
Everything's so
it's
weird right now.
it's such a shitty time because I haven't done comedy since fucking March 13th because of the pandemic. The pandemic took away professional sports, comedy, and the gym. And it's like, well, fuck, what else is there for me to do? Like,
Well, that's why I mentioned that one mic to you. Like, I mean, it was about 2 weeks before the quarantine. I had gotten sick, and I think one of the last mics I did, I think I was talking to you at Levity, and I told you like my wife and my one kid was sick, and that they thought they had the flu, and then 3 or 4 days after that, I got sick, and so I quarantined myself basically because if I have the flu or something, I'm not an asshole. I don't go out, especially if I'm sharing a mic with people. And so I stayed home, and it sucked. I couldn't breathe too well. It took me about 2 months before I could breathe and lift weights without feeling lightheaded. I mean, I still lift enough to where I feel kind of lightheaded, but I was like really dizzy trying to lift weights. And so I don't know if I got it or not, but like right when I started to kind of feel okay, like where I could breathe okay enough to go out, the quarantine hit, and then COVID was a thing. So I don't know if I got it or what, but it's fucked up because like I didn't even get those 2 weeks to do mics, and then everything shut down. And finding a mic now, it's like I feel like a Jew in the Holocaust. I'm just like looking for a fucking basement to talk to people.
I know, and it's shitty because you're still not getting that real crowd experience.
I feel like I've never really gotten the opportunity to get like a booked show. A lot of guys do them, but it's like friends getting you at like a bar, and it's not. It's more like an exclusive open mic. But I mostly just done open mics, and I'm used to just it being comics that don't give a shit what you have to say, so it doesn't really bother me. But
Yeah,
I
because
can see where it
the
throws you
last
off.
one I did, the last one I did was I did 25 minutes as the co-headliner up in Sloatsburg, New York, and there was only like 30 or 40 people there, but still, it was like I was working on shit. I was in the finals of that competition, and now they're not doing it until the finals got moved to August 27th.
And
But
you're
it's
not
like
going
I'm
to
not
be
even like,
here.
yeah, I'm gonna be long gone by then, and so it's like it fucked up a lot of things. This year has been just fucking nuts since the beginning. It's been so crazy. People forget that we were on the brink of like World War III back in January. Oh,
I'll give you
dude,
the
no,
quotes on that.
it was some serious shit, dude. Like,
I feel like everything's always super serial. I'm at the point now. I don't, unless it's happening, I just don't care to fucking hear it. Because it's just, there's always so many opinions thrown into everything currently. I don't know who to even talk to about anything. It's like everyone's so conflicting. I never know really where the truth entirely is.
well, in that particular situation, I'm not allowed to disclose certain information, but um, we were getting briefed on certain things, and then I had friends. Um, they're still in the Navy like I am, but they're actually on ships, and they were having to do shit that was
Prepping.
very alarming. So it's like we were definitely taking that situation seriously in terms of like the military. And then
Military is always supposed to take it seriously.
you'd be surprised.
Well, yeah, I guess yeah, I probably would be. I mean,
And then
Vietnam existed.
yeah. But then it's like we went from that to 2 months later, everybody was freaking out about how they were going to wipe their ass. Like it was
That was the
fucking nuts.
weirdest thing. I was so happy to own a bidet when that all hit. I was like, I only need like one roll of toilet paper a month anyway.
Well, yeah, especially like me, I live alone, so it's like if I buy a 4 pack, that's going to last me a good month or not more. But
I
it's
have
like,
fucked up guts. I'm constantly
uh,
blasting out chimichangas, and even when I eat clean, it's like I don't even know what the fuck's going on. It's awful looking sometimes. My daughter,
bro, I go ahead.
I was gonna say when you were waiting for your app for the Zoom app to update, I went upstairs to piss. My daughter just took a shit. And she has like one of those toddler toilets, so it's not really a toilet. You get to like dump it into the big toilet when she's done. And I walked in, I thought my wife took a shit. And she's like, no, that was your 3-year-old daughter. And I was like, I had my shirt over, I held my breath while I peed. It was awful.
Oh, dude, I did a cleanse um, mm, like a week and a half ago. I drank a whole bottle of magnesium citrate, and dude, I was in rough shape because I had never done that before.
Yeah,
And
it'll
like
mess you up.
this was, oh my God, dude, it got so bad because it's like I'm fucking wiping constantly because I keep shitting. Like my asshole started to hurt bad, like got chapped and everything.
You sound like me every day.
That's
No,
probably why you bought it for a day, so you're not fucking constantly.
it actually helped a lot. Yeah. Bidets are awesome too, because like when you feel like there's like that little bit in there and you're like annoyed because you can't get it out, you'll get it out with a bidet.
Yeah,
It cleanses you.
especially because like most dudes don't fucking shave their ass.
Oh no, I don't. Yeah, I'll get
Yeah,
dingleberries of toilet paper in there. I have to rip them out, and it hurts.
oh my God, dude, just like little. What did Big J call them? Like, look, they look like tiny little rolled doobies for GI Joes. Like,
He said that on Rogan's podcast, didn't he?
I think he said I heard it in his Degenerate special.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I may have seen it there because I watched that too. That last chick, I always forget her fucking name. I don't know why. In the second season of the Degenerates,
Yamanika Sanders.
No, she was like some white chick from the city.
Oh, the hot one.
Nope. I mean, not to discredit her physical appearance, but I
The,
wouldn't find her attractive.
the kind of overweight one or the
Yeah,
blonde one?
no, it's kind of overweight.
Yeah.
I thought the season was over, and then I went back. I was like, oh, there's an episode I'm missing, and it was her, and I thought she was fucking awesome. She was like a female Louis C.K. in my opinion, but in terms
Did you
of
watch
style,
special at all?
yep, I bought that the second I fucking could.
Yeah, same here.
I
As soon as
watched it like probably 6 times.
I only watched it the one time, but I really liked it. It wasn't as good as like Burr's and Chappelle's, but it was very good.
I think it was just, I mean, I like Sticks and Stones, if that's one you're referring to, by Chappelle. I like that one a lot, but I do feel like the last few Chappelle ones, I feel like I could tell that he's kind of pushing them through in terms of like performance. It seems more off the cuff, which in how I like to intake things, I like how Burr does it. And it seems, he kind of wings it at times, but it's also very articulate. Whereas Chappelle's just seems more off the cuff, I guess. It's hard to explain. But
He definitely planned that shit out a lot because just the
I'm sure he
depth
planned
of
out like
the.
I'm sure he planned out like the bits and stuff. It's just, I'm trying to figure out like a good way to word it. It just seemed less like when you watch his older stuff, it seemed much more like visceral and straight to the point, whereas the new ones seem more like whimsical.
Oh, Sticks and Stones, I thought was one of the best formulated specials I've ever seen.
I like that special a lot. I just,
Oh, God.
in terms of that one to CK's newest one, I'm like, it depends on my mood, I guess, which one I prefer to watch because they touch on very different subjects as well. Louis C.K. doesn't really hit on much like political stuff or anything until he gets to his own bullshit. But
Yeah. No,
Chappelle,
and he never has.
no, which I mean, you've seen me. I don't like to talk about that stuff too often either. I feel like everyone does it, especially like right now. I was really scared. Luckily, at the mic I did go to on Monday, there was like three kind of mentions of like Trump and stuff and COVID. But I don't. I was so scared when you go back to doing mics, it's gonna be nothing but COVID and Trump and Biden, and it's like
Black
everyone's
Lives
gonna.
Matter shit.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to fucking. I don't care. I don't care. I come here to laugh. I don't care about your fucking opinion on it, especially when like it's another open micer, and it's like I know where we're at in life, dude. Like I don't want to hear your shit. Especially if
I
it's not a
like doing
big
that
take.
because yeah, no, like if you're asserting your opinion and your beliefs, that's different than just like finding a way to make the situation funny.
Yeah, if you find it funny, or you have like a hot take or like a cool angle. But if you're just
Like
talking
one
about
of
how you don't like Trump or something, it's like, all right.
I love attacking the hypocrisy on both sides of the political spectrum.
Well, there's tons of
Like
material for that.
that's one of my favorite things to do. Especially like one of my favorite things to do is I'll tell a joke that like a lot of liberals will love and like it'll piss off a lot of like the conservatives.
And then you flip it.
Oh yeah, and then I love flipping it because then it's like, well, wait a second. Like because everybody always expects you to be on a fucking certain side.
That's how
And
everything
it's
falls.
like
Yeah. Fall in line.
yeah. And it's like if you like in order to be on their side, you have to believe in 100% of everything they believe in. And if you slightly alter that in the smallest of margins, they're like, "Oh, well, fuck you."
Welcome to the two-party system.
Oh, I hate it. I absolutely hate it. That's why I fucking make fun of it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's weird to me when people still stick to it, but oddly enough, especially through all this, luckily I have 5 days left of a 30-day ban, so I haven't been able to argue with people on Facebook. So I don't know if it's saved me or what, but I've definitely been less stressed out. It's been kind of nice not being able to talk on Facebook.
Oh, I quit arguing. Like I was arguing on Instagram all the time, and then I'm like, "What's the point?" Was like
Instagram, I never got into it too much,
but it's just like people are so entrenched into their belief, no matter how stupid they are.
you
You're
also
not
want
going
to
to
win.
Yeah, you're not gonna. Yeah, and you're not going to change their mind, and you're not going to get them to admit defeat because when they believe outlandish shit, all they're going to argue with is more outlandish shit.
You can do it, but because I did it a few times, but it was after watching a bunch of Ben Shapiro videos about how to argue and about how you have to like make them feel like they won. And it's almost like manipulating the subject. And it's way more work that I'm willing to put into a conversation just to manipulate someone's thoughts Because it's like, what's
that I
my
don't even know.
yeah? So it's like, what's my point in this? Like, I'm just trying to get them to agree with me. So am I just doing it to win now? Like, I just
Like
it's best
the
to stay
last
out of it.
time I did it, like I gave up on it because it's like, what is the point? Because the NBA is providing rings to all the NBA players, these weird rings that can supposedly detect coronavirus symptoms like 2 weeks before or whatever.
With all the people who are least likely to die from it.
But it's always just like, why do they get this? What about doctors, nurses, police officers, essential workers? And it's like the government isn't giving that to them. The
No, they're
NBA
paying for it
spending,
themselves.
yeah. Not only that, it's like, well, why do they get all these tests? It's like, why can't we get tests at hospitals? But it's like hospitals can only use tests that are FDA approved. And if you know anything about the FDA, they're only going to approve shit that makes them the most amount of money, or for people who spend the most amount of money to have it approved.
Yeah.
Like most of these guys are using tests that aren't even approved by the FDA. And that doesn't mean they don't work.
Just because the FDA doesn't want you to do it.
Right. Like, did you ever see that dude? Do you ever watch the show Shark Tank?
No, I've heard of it though.
There was this dude, he went on there. He had these filtration nose plugs. They're like little plugs you put in their nose for when you go out in public. And what it does is it filters out like all these toxins and everything that like you breathe in through your nose, so you can't get sick from stuff. And Mark Cuban asked him, he's like, why are you taking this to us? Why haven't you taken it to CVS or Walgreens or anything like that? And he goes, I did. But what they said was, you make more money in a curing substance than a preventative substance. So he's like, why would I buy this when I can only make $3 to sell it, when I can sell a medicine that cures it and make $15 off of that?
Well, the other thing is you're saying the word cure. When you look at the pharmaceutical industry, when you look at something like even just basic medicine you get, like an antibody or anything, almost all of them have side effects. And when you look, the company that provides that medicine with the side effects have medicines to cure that side effect. So it's a big like circular, like almost like a pyramid scheme of how to like get someone to get one medicine that causes this, and you get that to fix that. That causes another side effect. It's just like it's like a pyramid scheme of how to get someone sick in different ways.
And to make the most amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the military, I'm not even allowed to take CBD. Like when that became really popular, the military like prohibited that immediately, because it's like you can't test positive for it. There's zero THC in it. What it is, but like they don't want me to take that, but they have no problem with me taking antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication. But
Which
that's
all
because
side effects are like suicidal thoughts and
well, also the DoD has significant contracts with pharmaceutical companies.
yep, it's all intertwined.
It's
That's the other reason why I don't
awesome.
even care to get into politics, is because half the time you could argue one side or the other, but most of the time they're working for the same fucking people.
That's what I'm fucking saying. Like, I love it. I love it when the whole, like, whenever anybody wants to talk about like LeBron James's comments or Colin Kaepernick kneeling, they're always like, I don't want to hear a fucking millionaire complain about social justice issues. I was like, yeah, but you had no problem voting for a billionaire because he talked about middle class issues.
When it comes to people like LeBron and Kaepernick, where I get annoyed is the fact that they want to preach in a certain way, but then the NBA had all that shit go down with China. And it's like,
right.
I can't side with China on anything really. And then with Kaepernick, he went with fucking Nike, and Nike utilizes child labor. So it's like, even with them, I feel like it comes down to self gain, which I can't, I don't belittle or discredit anybody for wanting to help yourself as well. But it's hard being a person. But still, it's like you're not Gandhi. You're not doing it just to be a good person in the end. I don't feel all the time.
At first, he was, like if there's an opportunity to gain from it and still promote your cause, then yeah, why not? But it's like
people are going to do it. That's why I said I can't knock them for it. But you can't get mad at one thing then also utilize child labor. At the same time, I guess some people they don't really know about all that stuff. I don't know. I don't know where they lie. That's like when it comes to sports shit. When it came to like the national anthem stuff to begin with, I never understood it because I don't understand why there's a national anthem in a sport. What the fuck's the government have to do with someone throwing a ball? I don't get it.
Used to not be. That used to not be a fucking thing.
It wasn't that like a World War II thing they started adding that?
Dude, that shit happened in the 2000s.
Really? They added the national anthem?
with the players on the field.
Well, I'm just mean like the national anthem involved in the first place. I don't understand why it's there. I don't understand why we're doing the national anthem for something that has nothing to do with nationality or the government or nationalism. It's just it's a game.
Right. And
I just don't understand the correlation.
I don't either. It's a tradition more than anything, but it's like, I don't know. But then to like make it about us, by us I mean the military, I thought that was the dumbest shit ever.
Well, that would be like a play by the right. It's like the left will make everything about like, oh, like if you say something about whatever against their belief system, it's either you're racist or transphobic. If you do something against the right, it's always, oh, you hate Christians or you don't like the fucking military or you hate cops. They always, each side has their own pool of victims that they'll say you hate when they disagree with you and try to make you out to be morally inferior.
It's to demoralize your character is what it is.
Yeah, it's attacking you. Instead of attacking your point, they're going to attack you.
Yeah.
Because you can't argue your point.
Because it's just irrational extremism. That's what it's gotten to. Everything's completely, I've never seen it this divided. It's insane.
Well, I mean, I watch a lot of Rogan. I'm sure I brought it up plenty of times at this point, but they bring it up a lot about the internet and Facebook. And I mean, when I grew up, I remember when I switched from MySpace to Facebook and I was like, but MySpace is what I'm used to. And now, so like in my lifetime, it's like social media has become much more prevalent. And now that I'm pushing like, like a decently aged adult, I'm almost 30. I feel like my generation is the one that's causing all these problems. Like we grew up with social media. Now everyone has a fucking opinion. And it used to be that you just, whatever you believed, it's fine. Just vote how you're going to vote, do whatever. But it was always, don't really discuss religion or politics in the workplace and shit like that. But now everyone, even if you don't discuss it in the workplace, you have each other on Facebook. So you just argue there. And I'm fine with disagreeing with somebody. And that's just that, But some people, if you disagree with them, they want to like block you on Facebook, and now you're a piece of shit. Because again, it comes down to attacking your morality instead of just going, maybe somebody has a different perspective.
Oh yeah, it's a power game because they don't like to hear that people disagree with them because it makes them feel like they're losing like a ground, I guess, and power. So it's like they filter that out because they only want to hear people that are like, just like when it comes to news, people only want to watch news that talks about things that they agree with because it makes them feel like
I won't even watch the news, man.
Oh, I
refuse to watch it. My wife had it on. It was like last week. My wife had the news on. It was, I think, 8:30 in the morning. I was having a cup of coffee with her, and my kids are, doing whatever in the living room. And it's literally 8:30 in the morning. They start talking about a woman who drowned her kids in the bathtub because she was overwhelmed. I was like, can we shut this the fuck off? I've been awake for like 10 minutes. And like, I'm listening to someone murder their fucking kids. And my kids are just like playing fucking Legos. I'm like, let's just not. I mean, they don't ever talk about positive things anymore. It's almost like it's indoctrinating you to be miserable.
Just that, because people tell me all the time, they're like, you're so immature. You're so out of touch with reality because all you care about is comedy and sports. And it's like, yeah, but you know what you are that I'm not? Fucking miserable over things you have no control over. Yeah, like
that's why I get mad at other comics. I mean, like the mic I went to on Monday, I ran into a guy doing like the whole protest riot thing. I had a discussion with him about one of the posts that he made that I found divisive, and he got mad at me. He kept me on Instagram because I see he watches all my stories and shit still, but he deleted me on Facebook. And I ran into him at the mic, and he was doing that, that kind of like side stare thing. Like he didn't want to like directly look at me. And eventually he walked up and gave me like an elbow bump. I was like, oh, we're doing that? Okay. Like you blocked me on Facebook, but now you want to like be friends when I'm like 2 feet away from you.
We don't have to discuss who it was, but what was divisive about the post?
My main thing was I in terms of how I feel about the whole protest thing, I don't care about protests. That's fine. If you have any kind of quarrel, whatever, I'm fine with all that. If you had to try to classify me on a political spectrum, I would fall most in line with like a libertarian. So as long as you're not bothering somebody else, I don't care what you do.
Right.
So when the rioting started, Target, you can make the argument they're a big business, but there was smaller businesses being destroyed, and I disagree with that. This guy,
I do too.
This guy was all for it and saying, it's justifiable for them to be rioting, which then is also, I feel, divisive because that would almost make you categorize it as, if you want to say that the people who feel disparity and stuff in the situation, you'd be classifying it as it's black people rioting when it was also white people. So to even say that they were justified in rioting, you're making it out like a race issue. And I feel like none of it, race plays a part to a degree, but I also feel like the police brutality stems from an overreach of government to begin with, because it has happened to white people as well. So it's something that we could all get behind. I don't feel that there's a reason to divide everybody. And that's what
I
it came
hate
down
that
to.
argument too. A lot of people use that as an argument to hush like the Black Lives Matter movement, because systemic racism is a problem. And
it all stems from like Jim Crow laws and shit.
Right. But like when
I took criminal
say
justice.
like, well, a lot of people say like, well, more white people get killed by cops than black
There's also
people.
more white people.
Like that's just like that's the end of their argument. Like they use that to like make people shut up about Black Lives Matter. I'm like, all you're doing is increasing the number of people that cops kill. Like that's not okay.
That's another thing. But
okay.
when you get into statistics like that, my other issue with that is like you could say like, yeah, okay, more white people get killed. There's also more white people. So in terms of that, it would make sense that more people would die that are white. But also, if you want to get into crime statistics, you can go into like the high rate that are committed by black people. But at the same time, you could say, well, maybe they're being profiled. It all gets very messy. Like it's not a clear conversation. And if the problem is the fact that police are killing people, why don't we just concentrate on the fact that police are killing people instead of talking about white people and black people? It's just at this point, it's more government versus people than anything.
Right.
So,
but I think it is important for white people, or excuse me, for black people to be heard, because it's like it is a problem. They do get profiled a lot in a lot of different ways, and it's not good. And like
that comes down to, again, with my argument with things is as long as you're not bothering somebody else, it shouldn't matter. So the same thing, again, you could make it out to be a race issue, but when I look at a situation, I think a lot of it's government overreach. If you get rid of all these drug laws, if you get rid of all these prostitution laws, all these things, that's really what's been holding down the black community since the beginning anyway, because they didn't have a way to make a living when they first got out of slavery, because they were held back by Jim Crow laws and all these other things. So they found other avenues of income, and they end up getting pushed in these small, shitty little situations in like Chicago and shit, where they have these terrible societies, and now they haven't had the chance to really grow out of it. And so when you break it all down to just a race thing, instead of just going, get rid of all these bullshit laws that aren't helping anybody, that would fix the whole situation, instead of just going, I mean, again, yeah, black people should be heard because they are the ones experiencing all these issues.
Right.
But I think when you start to bring up like black people this, you're going to get people who maybe would be on your side are now being like, well, what about if you're a poor white guy in the same shitty situation? Because I grew up in a really fucking bad neighborhood in Florida for a little while, and I could see that argument. Like Theo Von brings it up a lot too. Like you kind of make people who want to be on your side, they feel defensive, I guess is the best way to put it.
Right. And like that whole white privilege argument, like, yeah,
there's privilege to every situation.
Right. But like, dude, my neighbors in Nevada fucking made meth. Like their house burnt down because it was a meth lab. Like I didn't come from a prosperous situation. I didn't come from a horrible situation, but it's like not all of us are privileged, but it's like if we reach out our hand to help you in this situation, which I think we should, because racism is real and systemic racism is real, I think it's fair to say some of us need to be heard too, because we all have bad situations. A lot of like every race. And it's like, but to use that as an excuse to put a seal on what they're crying about, that's not okay. Because it's like
again, I just think if you just cut back all the bullshit, in my opinion, what happens when you get a bigger government, whoever, in terms of this country, there's more white people. So whoever has the bigger vote can control the government. So if you have a bigger government, you can now control people to how you want to think. That's the big issue when it comes to politics anyways, because it's always one ideology fighting another ideology. If you just have it to where people can be more free in the first place and just go off common courtesy as opposed to forcing someone to do what you want via police, I think it fixes a lot of those problems. I'm not sure defunding is the route to take, but...
No, defunding is bad, I think.
I mean, I don't know. It depends on what they mean by
I'll
it, I
take that
suppose.
back a little bit because I'm not educated enough to say that's a bad idea.
Well, some people saying defund it, you have two people, like two different classes of people saying it. So you have people who say defund it and mean get rid of police, and other people who say basically move the funds around. And you have like the Rogan saying to put more money into it, but have them train more. Because I mean, you trained, like you said, like in MMA and shit, and I'm sure you train with police officers. I've trained with them in jujitsu, and like you come across some who are very savvy, but some of them who are also like, it's like, yeah, how often have you trained? I mean, like I could choke a dude out sometimes. It's like he's never trained before in his life.
Not just that, but dude, because in the military, I had to stand armed security watches all the time. I had to go through force protection training all the time, whether it be the continuum, use of force, like all that shit, because it's like it's a serious thing, and it's like they jump force continuum all the time. Like you see videos of cops pulling guns on unarmed people all the time.
He's
That's
just
not okay.
scared and uneducated. They're not prepared for their situation.
And it's also somebody they're trying to they like there's this
Impose
sense
a
of
will.
power they have over people, so they're trying to enforce their power over someone
Yeah,
who's,
those people
in
just should
other
not be
words,
in that
power.
situation at all. They should just be completely pulled.
Right.
I don't know. I
But
mean,
this is the other big argument too, because another one of the stupid arguments I hear is like, well, what about all the black on black crime? Okay, if black guy A kills black guy B, black guy A is probably going to jail if he's caught, most likely. But you have video evidence all the time of cops killing a black guy, and that cop at worst gets fired. They don't go to, most of the time they don't even go to jail.
yeah, that stuff. I mean,
And when they get fired, they get a severance. They're getting paid for what they did.
that's happened with
That's
white
the
people too,
problem.
though. That's the other reason why I don't like when like it's just. I just don't like to break things up strictly into race. Like I do think
No,
it
it's
does
not
happen to black people more often than it should, and probably
per
more often than
capita.
white people
Well,
too. But
but if you look at per capita, that like there's more white people in this country,
yep, it's like
but
48%, I think.
more minorities encompass the incarcerated population.
Again, this is why I'm getting into why I don't like statistics, because this is where it starts to get to the point where it's going to just, it's a big conversation, and it's depending on how you want to read the statistics, because you could say that, but also, again, if you go back to Jim Crow laws and stuff, you put more black people and minorities into shitty situations like inner cities and stuff like that. So they're already predisposed to being in a criminal background, which is going to put them more at risk with dealing with the law, which is going to put them more at risk for going to jail. And the recidivism rate in our country is like 70 something percent. So even when you go to jail and you're supposed to be a recidivized citizen, you almost always go back to jail, because really in jail, you just become a better criminal. It's just, again, I like to break it down as simple as possible, and that's just take the shit out of the government. Stop putting people in jail for stupid shit like smoking pot or even any drug, in my opinion. If you want to do a drug, that's on you. Just don't sell it to kids. I mean, someone chooses to do heroin, let them fucking do it, in my opinion. But I
Yeah,
don't know.
it's they're if they're doing heroin, they're most likely not contributing much to society already.
Well, it's like the weird thing though is like when you get into like the weird things like that is like when you talk about meth and stuff. That's one of the ones where people get all fucked up and they start attacking people, or like bath salts.
Yeah, I know.
But being as we're talking about Black Lives and stuff like that, let's see how I do this real quick. Yeah, let's do desktop. Where are we at here? It says on screen. Can you see my screen?
Yeah,
Where at my screen are you? I can't tell where you're at.
I don't know where I'm at on your screen, but I see the video.
How much of my screen do you see though?
I mean, I see your whole desktop with that fucking rock in the water. Now I
Definitely
see
don't
you.
want that. Yeah, and I'm gonna get this figured out in like 2 seconds. Oh, here we go. Excellent. Okay, so being as we're talking about Black Lives Matter and stuff, how much work do you think this guy's gonna get when all this blows over? This
I
is what
can't
this
hear.
guy does.
Is that Woody Harrelson?
Kind of looks like him, doesn't he?
I can't tell what he's saying.
Is it too quiet?
Yeah, I can't hear it.
How about no?
Faintly.
That's crazy how quiet it is.
Is he sponsored by Sunkist?
Maybe. He just whips. This is what he does. This guy, he's constantly doing this shit. He's been on so many different shows. Okay, here we go. This is why it was not working. I got you. He was doing so many different shows. Like, what's the guy who does like? It's not Jeopardy, but it's like a talk show, like Family Feud or something.
Steve Harvey?
Yeah. He was on like a show with him, and he was like doing the whip crack with him. Like, this is what this guy does.
I would say essentially what's gotten me around the world is that I focused on these Guinness World Records and said I want to nail down and get each one of these. And then the main places I've been flown to, like Beijing, China, and Milan, Italy, was for Guinness World Records TV show. So they look at my cred, say, oh, this guy's got whatever, 5, 6 Guinness World Records.
This is what this guy does. All he does is whip crack. So all the people talk about losing their jobs during the quarantine. You got this guy coming up. There we go. Got the soda can, Sunkist. Not much to say about him.
Yeah, other than like, I feel like church isn't over for him until the snakes are back in the bag. Like, this fucking dude is, well, why? Like, I don't get it. Like, that's all he does.
That's what he does. He goes around like shows like Ellen and stuff. I'm not sure if he's been on Ellen, but things of that nature. Like he just goes around. He breaks world records for whip cracking and stuff.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like after like all these like protests and stuff, you think this guy still has a job or?
I don't understand the correlation between the two unless you're.
It's the fact he's a white guy whipping a whip.
Yeah.
Trying to make a joke. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Like, nah, I just got it now. And especially because it's called whip cracker. Like,
I actually, when I did the podcast with Nick Bailey, we looked at the comments and someone's like, this isn't holding up well in 2020. Like someone like straight up like hit it on the head.
Yeah, this did not age well. I don't know how he gets work now. Like, I've never once like.
I'm sure right now he's not doing anything, but.
Like, hey, babe, you want to go see this guy crack whips? Like, no, what the fuck? That's like some shit you see in a Subway.
Yeah, that's a weird ass Subway.
Like, it's type of dude, like, whatever you do, don't make eye contact with that dude. Like, just keep walking.
It's like every Subway I've ever been on in Manhattan.
Anywhere. Public transit. Any form of mass public transportation is just like you're having a rough day. Like this guy is not doing well, man.
No, there's always, I mean, your mom's house has played probably, I don't know, 10, 20 videos I've seen where people are just doing weird shit in public transportation. I have to hop off in a few minutes. So we have two different videos we could choose between. There's, you ever seen Batman and Robin?
The cartoon or the old one? With Adam West?
The movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, yeah.
So the one is a song that someone made. It's like an opera type tune called Batman, You Son of a Bitch. And it's sang as Mr. Freeze, a.k.a. Arnold Schwarzenegger. And the other one is Nazi cuck porn. That's the not safe for work video. I asked if you're cool with me playing.
I'm more intrigued by the second one.
Nazi cuck porn?
Yeah.
Let's see how this goes with Zoom. I know you're not supposed to play these things. They're having sex and she's still just like talking shit the whole time. And then at the end, the guy steals the lamp in the room and like just leaves after fucking her. And then they go back to being Nazis.
My favorite part is when we first got together, you hated black people, but look at the one in our room right now.
Well, what ends up being the point of the video is because he can't give him like 3 acres and a mule. He has him come over to fuck his wife. and the whole time she doesn't want to do it, but he wants her to, and she just talks shit the whole time. I wish it would load because it's the most ridiculous video I've ever seen on the internet.
That is so bad.
There's actually a lot of those.
I mean, if I was black, I'd be so happy watching that, but
there's a lot of them. I mean, that's an older video. I think probably at this point around 10 years old, I guess. There's a site eFucked. If you go there, there's like it's just a bunch of basically fucked up shit that happens at point. Yeah, that's where I found it was on eFucked. So
my friend showed me a video one time. This dude, like, is one of those giant slingshots. This dude,
the cactus ball.
Yeah, dude, just right up Main Street, up her asshole.
She's like, wow.
Oh, dude, she was not doing it.
I love that video. Yeah.
Oh God.
My one band I was in, we'd have band practice for like 4 or 5 hours, and probably 2.5 hours was just watching eFuck together. So it was like, yeah.
Oh, when we were on watch on the ship, this is what we did for the military. We would like watch eFuck on watch. I would have a gun on me and I'd be watching that shit.
Just in case.
No, like we were supposed to be standing security, but we'd get fucking bored and you just put it on.
What else are you supposed to do?
It's what, it's all in the name of God and country, you know what I'm saying?
Gotta watch eFucked. That's the most American thing you could do.
Oh my God. That is freedom.
Yeah. Instead of standing and watching eFucked.
I still can't believe, because it's called Nazi cuck porn, and I was still caught off guard completely by the N-word. It's still like,
if I can get you on for another podcast, I will make sure I load the video in advance so I can show you the rest of it, because it gets. Dude, she says it looks like a burnt hot dog talking about his dick. It gets so much worse.
We're probably gonna do you publish this anywhere?
Yeah, I do. It's on basically every streaming platform. So I have to learn how to censor video, but
yeah, we might have to edit that portion out with the job I'm about to do. I don't need any blow.
All
yeah.
Right. Just let me know.
Especially if I become like a coach one day or something. Like, oh, well, your coach back in the day used to watch this. Like, I don't know, man. That's bad. I should have gone with Batman and Robin.
Yeah, I asked you. I asked what you wanted to watch.
You lost me at opera. I fucking hate opera.
No,
I mean,
next
I hate
time
the N-word much more, but I mean, opera's like right behind it.
I'm not sure opera is the best way to put it. It's a really funny song. If you want to do this again, I'll play that. I'll play that one for you.
Okay.
For right now, I gotta hop off and do a Lyft ride because I'm here to make money.
Okay, good for you, dude. I'm glad you're working.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, that and Home Depot.
Oh, that's not bad though.
No, that's pretty decent.
All right, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. Nice talking to you, man. Have a good one. Bro.